So there's skill capped, there's pro guides, and there's you. As far as I know, for these like tier lists, there may be some other ones that I'm not like tracking, but in my head, I literally put you all in the same bracket because that's how good your editing is. Like that's how good because your tier lists seem very, very similar to how those are presented. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like you're in it's almost like you're in a, like an editing contest with these guys.
And I'm the one man against the company.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to give you your props.
I appreciate that. Back when I started, I was, because I'm an actual teacher, I've taught coached since 2009. So like, this is, I thought when I'm going to make content, I would love to make something that's understandable to basically anyone and can help anyone of any rank, even if you need fundamentals, right? Or you're looking to get diamond, or you're looking to get through diamond, or you're looking to get gold, doesn't matter. But I wanted to explain everything in a nice way. But then when I got down to it, I was like, you know what? If I was in a classroom, I'd be drawing on the whiteboard and I'd have a map written up and I'd be showing arrows and everything. So I said, why don't I just figure out a way of putting that in the videos? One of those things that's great in concept, and then you get down to it, you're like, well, that was a good week. That was one video. They're nice. So like, after about a year of doing like one video a month, I swapped to these sort of like gameplays where I would do less editing, and that's pretty much been the cadence ever since. But because your editing kind of gets, like with all creators, whether it's streaming, thumbnails, whatever, you get sort of fluid at it. Not like every video has that standard of I need to have the motion blur, I need to have the maps, I need to have X, Y, Z, and it's I always see the skill cap and pro guides, and I just I don't know what your relationship is with that, but that kind of tweaks me sometimes.
It's I don't really I don't really dislike any of them or anything. I'm kind of neutral.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's one of those things where you try your best to put out good work, and then the team of like 5 editors just punches something out, and I don't really watch it at all. I like to keep ideas fresh, but yeah, it's always like a driving force for me. I want to make sure that I always bring value. That's I guess the bread and butter of it, right?
Do you have editors? Do you have any?
Myself.
You edit? You don't have anybody edit at all? Because I have an editor.
In the last 5 months, I've had someone help me with some infographic stuff like this, and I'm kind of working along to do some of the animated maps and things like this. So the last 5 months, I've had someone, Dawi, help with thumbnails and a few effects like that. But up until then, it was just me, and even now, like the bulk of compiling and voiceover and syncing the footage, transitions, etc., I still do. So you
still do all of it. That's funny because for like my coaching, I don't do any editing. I am so hands off. I will be very transparent. Both my editors get 50% of what I make. So like if I make a YouTube channel, like my main YouTube channel is like 50%, like editor gets that. And then the other channel editor gets 50% of that.
You take all from stream, or do you sometimes have videos that are kind of
Oh no, I have different stuff. Like sometimes I do collabs with other like I did one with Rav that was just like a couple days ago. It was on the channel. And then like I've done one with Ross. I've done one with somebody else. I did another collab. Their name's escaping me right now. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyways, the point is someone important. The point is that, and then obviously I do these Summoner Speaks with other content creators too. Right. Yeah, the whole thing is just, I've gotten to the point now where I try to just offload as much stuff as I can to other people, tell them what I need to do, and then try to basically sustain as much free time as I possibly can. And it sounds like somebody, hint hint, needs to be getting some help, dude. It sounds like you need to be getting some.
You mean 90-hour work weeks for 90-hour work weeks for 4 years isn't sustainable? No, I never thought that. No, that I've tried. I'm a bit of a control freak, but I've the thing is, right, so I built this channel up while teaching full time. So I did this pseudo full time while teaching full time on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep for like 2 years. 2.5 years. End of 2019, I said, you know what? This backstory is not really relevant, but I said now's a good time to leave the teaching, right? and go into this full time. So I had a few months to kind of get into a schedule and the rhythm, and I was just enjoying the fact I could sleep more than 4 hours a night. That was nice. And that's when I started setting up the coaching. I started setting up the stream. That's what I did last year. Like that was out of 2019. So most of 2020, I had both channels and coaching and streaming, and I was still doing everything myself. And that burnt me the hell out by November. I was a tired person. So
and so I want to ask you though, because you said you're doing teaching, you were doing editing, so you're making a YouTube channel, but you also are real big into bodybuilding.
Yep. For me, that was the escape, right? It's always my.
Okay.
I got the home gym with me in the office here, so it's something that I will never compromise. Like that's the hour out of the day that people are like, hey, take out your frustrations in the gym. I'm like, no, that's happy time. Why would I want to? Why would I ruin that? No, yeah, that's. I would not skip that, I think, but yeah, I mean, when I'm married as well, so it's a balancing act, you know.
Oh, believe me, I'm married too.
Yeah, you go.
I'm married too, and yeah, it's definitely been weird for me because before, like, basically when I started doing the coaching stuff, I would say it's got to be like 7 or 8 months now. It was like all of a sudden I now had to schedule my free time as opposed to schedule my work time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like weird.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's like a switch flipped, you know, and I'm sure you understand this better than anybody in your position, and you could probably kind of echo what I'm going to be getting at here. But it's like you want to do a gaming job. You want to be able to play video games for a living or talk them or be a part of the community or whatever. But you're not actually prepared for what happens if you actually do turn that corner. do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, in the beginning, I actually quit. I was just playing for fun. Like, I think I started playing. I mean, I came from Halo 3 as well. So, what was it? 2014. Kind of started playing, getting into it. Once I got Diamond, I was teaching, and I was just kind of like, it was just my hobby. I play a couple games a week, you know, while I'm working full time. And eventually, Dynamic Q came out. I was like, you know what? I hate this. This sucks. I'm a solo play. I'm out. And started playing a few other games, and just said, you know what? It'd be kind of nice to share this, put it on YouTube. That was it. Like that's the reason I began. It was just to share. And eventually, when I came back around to just wanting to teach in some capacity and started making these guides, it's really just for you and for the people you give it. I think if you get into this with a goal to make money and to sort of make it a business, like from 0 subs, I feel like that's way harder, right? But
that's what I did, actually.
Did you
that was
actually
how I viewed
that?
it.
Like,
no. We're actually very different. We're not different. We're not different in some ways. In one way, I got into this. It's funny you said Halo 3. My first competitive game was actually Halo 3. I went to college here in Florida in the United States, and my school actually sponsored me to go to a tournament for Halo 3. It was the CPL. It was like, I don't know if you remember the CPL. You probably do, because we're about the same age. It's the Cyber Athlete Professional League, I think it was. And it was basically just like old school Counter-Strike League. But anyways, I'm dating myself here, but the point is that I am the same as you in that I came from Halo and other competitive games, but I'm not the same as you in the sense that when I was getting out of the army, I actually wrote up when I was in Afghanistan, in my free time, I wrote up a business plan. Now that business plan wasn't play League. It was actually play Halo and teach it and make a YouTube channel. My original channel was like it was called bingegaming.tv. If you look, some of the YouTube stuff still exists from when I did that. I was making a channel with my friends. I actually did like get out of the army. I had like, I'd say I probably had like $30,000 banked. And then I moved from Maine to LA to try to basically make it in streaming. And then I eventually wound up doing League instead of Halo and landed on League. But no, I did. It was the opposite. It was kind of funny that you say that. It's the opposite.
I think it's also different because, as you said, right, you came out of the army, you had some in the bank, and
I had a bankroll.
You could make that business decision. For me, it was a little different because I was teaching now. there wasn't much bankroll to sort of quit teaching and sort of make like a dedicated plan.
No, that's good. That's good.
So, you know that saying, like, never tell anyone your goals or your dreams, like, too much. Like, I don't like to verbalize it too much. I prefer to keep my motivators always a bit close to chest because some people can sound unrealistic, but I remember in 2016, I started YouTube, and as I said, the goal was just to share stuff, but there's always that dream, okay, if I make it. But once I started making guides, and a few of them took off, I think it was July 3rd, 2017, so we might not have gotten for the same motivations, but we probably have the same level of motivation to actually succeed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, so, yeah. I don't want to be. I don't want to get it misconstrued. Yeah, I don't want to be misconstrued.
No. I get you. July 3rd, 2017. I made an early game jungling guide, my third ever tutorial. I slapped it on Reddit. Got front page top 2 post. I got 1,000 subs in a day, and that shifted my entire attitude. I was like, okay, hold up.
Maybe, wait, how many subs in a day?
1,000 plus, and I went from like 200 subs to 1,300 in one day. That's how I broke it.
When was that? You said 2000 when?
July 3rd, 2017. I can find the Reddit post if you want.
Well, you know, but it's kind of funny because I've been talking in the past about Reddit and how initially it was Dakar. I had Dakar on here, and Dakar was talking about that same stuff about how, you know, Reddit, we talked about how Reddit was initially, it was like the big gun for content creators. Like if you had gotten on Reddit, like if you were a starting channel and you got on Reddit, and it sounds like that's kind of what happened to you. It's kind of similar to what happened to me. It was like I had a couple bits of content. It was me just like ranting about stuff.
Yeah.
And it got big on Reddit, and then that just made my channel exist, essentially. That was like all it took.
Yeah, that was for me. I think the thing is with people, if you're motivated to quote unquote make it, I don't really like the term too much, but you know, translate this into a career. I think I had a screenshot. I had uploaded 15 or 16 videos under like 20 subs. It was just random shit I put out. There was no real cohesion to it. Multiple games and whatnot. But here I actually found it. I found it. This is it. And I made a couple montages to practice my editing skills, and then I realized, you know what? I like editing. I like creating. I like teaching. Let's fuse it. And I just made this as a summary of early game jungling way back in the day. Slapped it on Reddit, and that's basically what kickstarted it. And by the end of the year, I was like 25, 30K subs, and it was just, right now I'm gonna make it. That's it. End of story. I'm motivated. This is it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and I think it's well deserved. And I think there's something to be said for somebody that's, you know, that's making it not only in video games, but making it in YouTube. Jesus Christ, it's so competitive. Like I find it very, very difficult to make anything on YouTube, and obviously the coaching has kind of turned that around for me, and just posting as much coaching stuff as I do has turned that around for me. But initially, you know, someone like you, I'm not you, obviously, but like I looked at what you guys are doing with all this editing stuff, and I was like, yep, there's no fucking way. There is no way in hell. Yeah, there's no way in hell that I was doing that, because I was like, I'd rather just game all day and try to make it through the streaming and from the sub support of the streams and all that. Now it's worked out to where I can use those multiple avenues, but it wasn't always like that, you know?
No, yeah, but that's a different approach, and I think that's what the second channel is interesting, because I kind of started it up. I just uploaded my coaching, and it did quite well. And then once I've been doing these high elo VOD reviews over the last 5 months, that channel just, for views to sub ratio, has been kind of insane.
Yeah.
And it's because, again, it's long form content. There's no editing. It's like basically bare bones analysis. And I think I cannibalized a little bit of my main channel in terms of people who like the gameplay reviews and things like this. But like not in a bad way, in a healthy way. Like, oh, this is actually better for me. But you just got to find with YouTube, you've really got to find the niche. And I've thought about uploading more frequently. Like let's cut the editing, let's cut the frills, let's cut the lasers and the motion blur, and cut down on render time. That's nice. But the problem is, as soon as you do that, you can end up diluting. The biggest thing for my content is because it's 7-8 videos a month that are heavily edited, that take a lot of time, that are thought out, that I try to bring a different angle every single time. And then I throw in, of course, the best jungles every patch as well. The thing for me is SEO. Like people look at a video and be like, oh, 20K views, that's bad. You check in 6 months, that thing's at like 70K. So if, like, for me, it's the views over time, because each video hits a different topic. So it's like a different way of making it on YouTube,
I like that. Yeah, I like that. One of the things that you've specialized in mainly has been jungling, correct?
Pretty much jungling, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much been mostly jungle, even on your second channel, I assume?
All jungle, yeah, because
I've tried all the time, baby.
Yeah, and then people are like, what are you playing solo queue? I'm like, time to play solo queue? What are you talking about? was trying to play the game. I'm studying it.
Yeah, no, I feel
actually
you.
a lot of support as well. Like, because jungle all the time is a bit. If you ever find a way, like you found a way now, and I guess you know this is like a bit of marketing as well. You know, like you don't want to be, you never want to be clickbait, but you gotta sensationalize everything a little bit. You know.
I'm kind of on the fence about clickbait. Like I try not to be just like blatantly lying in content. But there's definitely like some sort of weird, because it almost feels like, and people talk about this all the time on YouTube, it almost feels like you're incentivized to do it, you know? Like,
I feel to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm pressured to clickbait a lot for videos. Like my editor, like I said, because I told you it's like 50-50. I tell my editor, hey dude, you want to make money, you go ahead, you do what you feel, as long as it doesn't make me look too stupid. Like
I don't look like an idiot. Have fun.
yeah. I'm at the point now where I'm just, YouTube's a weird space, and I don't mean it in a way that I'm like insulting my audience or insulting my fan base or whatever. I'm just saying that, like, imagine you're us, right? Like, anybody listening out there has ever wondered about YouTube League, any of that stuff. Just like, imagine that you're us. Like, anytime a new patch comes out, anytime a popular personality has like a controversy moment, you just get so much more value anytime that you reference those things in some form or fashion, whether it be in the thumbnail, whether it be in the title, whether it be in the video, whether it be you talking about the controversy. Like, you just get so much more. And it can be a very slippery slope real quick. Before you know it, you know, you're 1 minute you're making 1 minute you're Virkayu, you're making good content, and then the next minute, you know, you have a moment and you wake up and you're Brofesco, you know. And I like Brofesco, and I don't even mean it in a way to where like I'm being disrespectful to him, because I think you know better than anybody, even Brofesco worked his ass off.
When there's a big meta shift or a change or big balance change, I will typically increase that cadence from patch to patch. Like, I think I did 11.8, 9, and 10, which I normally wouldn't do. I'd normally skip 9, but because they keep buffing and changing stuff, you know, I'd be remiss not to at least capitalize a little bit on the tempo. But for jungle, you know what? I think now it's in a significantly better space, because my opinion has always been, when you have a quintessential route or farming cadence that
I see where you're going.
Have to think less, they become worse at the game. And farming metas, I do not like farming metas for jungling. I do not like it at all. I think it creates so many bad habits, and you're seeing a lot of that now, especially now that they've changed the experience around, increased the spawn times. People need to be more, they need to have a bit more foresight with their time, right? You can't just loop your camps. And you're seeing people that enjoyed the freeload of Udyr, and 2-minute spawn time is kind of, it's catching up to them a little bit. So I like, overall, everyone was whining about the changes. You know? Everyone was whining about those jungle changes. I'm like, listen, the jungle changes aren't going to stop you climbing from silver to gold. They're not going to stop you climbing from platinum to diamond. You know? Well,
you hear that? You guys hear that? You hear that? Everybody listening? Virkayu doesn't like Mundo. After all those videos.
When the real comes, I will like Mundo.
Okay.
No, but it's this whole concept of, I love to talk about routes and pathing that leads to action on the map, you know? Because at the core of it, I've always said, if you want a PvE, you go play Warcraft, you go play an MMO, something like that. You know, I don't have time for this shit. I hate it. And because I play a lot of support, I fully understand how it is if I have to leash and the enemy bottom lane doesn't. But if we're a push lane, that's kind of crappy.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I kind of agree with you. I've thought about it with the jungle changes and with how we've, you know, we went from this weird, because I basically, a lot of my coaching is spent getting people in the concept of like efficiency, right? Like, I'll watch them play and I'll be like, holy shit, you need to speed up your clear. Like, this is the first thing that we have to fix right now. And so in one way, I kind of like the farming meta, because you would see players immediately get rewarded for the fundamentals, right? And it would be like, it'd be like, okay, it's time to go Mundo, right? And you'd have this guy who was clearing, he was doing a full clear at like 330, 340 for some reason, right? He's just slow as shit. We would get done with the coaching session, and now this guy is just killing it. Like, he'll just win like 15 straight, and he's winning it just because he's focused on clearing. But then this opens up a problem now, is what you're talking about, where basically the only decision becomes how fast can I farm and nothing else, right? Like,
There's no PvP component. Like you
Yeah.
know this in lane. There's another human being most of the time. Some people play like bots, but most of the time against you, competing for farm, CSing, trading. You now also have to be aware of jungle pathing if it's a ganking jungler that isn't a farming jungler. It's much more interactive. When farming junglers, like say you full clear 315 crab, and you have prio, right? The enemy jungler who doesn't full clear as efficiently, or maybe cannot. Like if I'm Warwick, I'm still doing Raptors by 2029. That just creates a lot of problems where there's minimal risk. And I don't like it where there's minimal risk for your experience in level game. This should, as far as I'm concerned, if you've farmed, like say you have 10% KP, but you have 20 more CS, but the enemy jungler was trying to do things on the map. High risk, obviously ganking is risky, right? There's an inherent risk in ganking if it works or it doesn't. And say gets 2 dragons. And now because it's a 2-minute spawn timer, because the camp experience was so juiced after last year, I think it was like 10.4, they buffed it up again. You shouldn't be down on levels to that. That's uninteractive gameplay to me, especially from a jungling point of view, because it's bad habits. Because what do you do if you're behind now? What do you do if you're playing a jungler that can't farm at that speed? Just it raises a lot of questions for me when farming is too much of an impact.
Yeah, so I mean, right now I would argue the junglers that were like the biggest problems, like the Hecarim and the Mundo, Riot always seems to overshoot it. And I was talking to Phalaris on one of these YouTube videos about this. It's like, yeah, I get it that, you know, power farming is kind of dumb and uninteractive, and I agree with you. But like, man, did they overshoot? Because now I can't even really recommend Mundo to the majority of my students. Like I can't even recommend him. Like I'll let people that studied and did like the boot camp or whatever that did like the drills. Like I'll let people to play him, but in the back of my head I'm just like, yeah, you probably shouldn't play that anymore, you know? And I think it's a shame because I don't think it's necessarily balanced in the way that they thought it would be. And I almost get the impression that Riot doesn't actually know what they want, because it's like, okay, we got rid of power farmers, but Rumble's broken now, Morgana's broken now. It's like, it's so weird, right? Like, it's like, it doesn't feel like there's any rhyme or reason sometimes. It's like, yeah, we could have just like nerfed this Mundo stuff, and we could have nerfed this Hecarim stuff. I guess they're already going to buff Hecarim again. Did you see that?
Yeah. I'm already primed. Best junglers patch 11.11. And I normally only make one of these a month, but I'm back again because nerfed Morgana back to what she was, and buffed Hecarim back to what he was.
That's what I'm saying, right?
I agree in that principle.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird.
The first year I really had, like once I left teaching, I really attempted to play a bit more because obviously, you know, I'm not playing League in my lunch break, but I can VOD review, right? So that's where the sort of educational coach analytical aspect came from. Season 9, that was, you know, we enjoyed that as junglers. Laners did not. You know, chilling in a bush for a minute because, you know, you're getting that juicy catch-up experience on the opposite side, and you can ignore your blue side as Rex. I see, that's fine, but also that's a problem. So I think this meta in terms of 215 is a nice happy medium between 9 and 10. But the problem is, as you said, they don't know what champions they want.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
They don't know what they want the junglers to do. Yeah,
it's very bizarre. I talked to Phil about this, my jungle coach, and it was like, I just feel I really actually quite like the diversity of the jungle. I feel, now I don't know if this is misguided, and you could tell me if I'm crazy, but I definitely feel like there's way more representation in the role than I think there's ever been. Like since I've started playing this game, it feels like there's just so much stuff going on in the jungle now that the role actually feels fun. So I guess in that regard, if the goal for Riot was to just make the jungle just more fun to play, I definitely think they hit their mark.
The thing I would agree with you though. The thing that I did a video, I think I did one 2009 when we had like basically no AP junglers, and then they did a few buffs and that came back, and then I did something last year. It was kind of stale too. But this year I think, at least in pro play, I mean everyone sees a Hecarim and Undio, and it was really just obscene for how long they left it. But I think it's because they wanted to take their time to figure out how do we just increase diversity. And I think at this moment in time, I agree with you. We've reached this point where there's just a lot more fun champions that you can play in the jungle. And I've mentioned this, what was it? The 11.4 video, I did a rundown on the patch or something like this, because those were big changes. The fact that, you know, a lot of the new champions that come out that are fun in the jungle, and I actually made a little like mini documentary on this, just like for some kind of fun content. On the last junglers, like the Kianas, the Silases, the Aatroxes, things that really made the role interesting to play. And of course in EU, I don't know if you know, but the people like Selfmade love the Kiana jungle. That thing is very popular. But they take him out of the role, right? So we're left with Hecarim, Udyr, and champions that have been around for like 9 seasons. And part of the thing that keeps people coming back to the league, even if we don't necessarily like it, are those new champions, are the reworks that are fun to play, right? Yeah. And in jungle, we just had this stale meta with these old-ass champions dominating the meta. And a lot of the fun ones, even Volibear, I was speaking to Lutzberg, the designer for Volibear, about this early in the year. It's like, he has a 0.4% pick rate in the jungle. He doesn't even show up on the client as a recommended jungler. This is not okay, because you just gutted him from the jungle. He was top lane only. And they brought that back with a clear speed. And I think what they're trying with, I think it's with Talia, right? They realized it with Talia. Hey, let's give more bonus damage on the kill on the Q to the monsters.
I see.
S+ top tier meta. Okay, wait a second. If I can clear faster, healthier, and have more resources to fight over crabs, to gank, to invade, suddenly you can be more viable. So now they're trying with everything. Like,
yeah.
It works with volley, everything. Rumble, Morgana, Darius. But at the same time, I do think this opens up a lot of things, because it's not making the jungle easy. It's just allowing certain champions to be playable. Now, obviously, the Darius and the Mords are just kind of more whatever, right? They don't really impact 99% of the ELOs, but yeah, I think because of these changes and because of the 215 shift and stuff like this, it's just a lot more variety. And counter picks as well a little bit. Like they picked Xin. I play Warwick and Volibear, so I'm like, all right, thanks for the matchup. But if it was Warwick versus Udyr or Hecarim during that peak, I'm griefing if I pick Warwick.
Yeah, you're pretty much, yeah, you're tiered out. You're tiered out.
I'm tiered out because he clears faster. End of story. Yeah, obviously, he beats me fist to fist as well, because Udyr was overtuned as hell, but I'm out of it. You know, with the farming meta, you just take away every champion that cannot 315-4. That's why I think currently we have a nice sort of middle ground, and I hope they can kind of not do something too extreme, like a Rumble, for example. That would be nice not to, you know.
Yeah, Rumble's a weird one. I mean, but I think I really like your rundown here in terms of how they viewed it, and I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. It does feel like Riot was just like, hey, this is kind of cool. We'll just add some, you know, we just add a little base damage to mobs, and we've got a different game here. And they recognize that this makes more people want to queue for the role. I'm sure they've got data to back it, right? They buff Darius or something, and then more people want to play jungle, right? Because they have to just be missing the mark on the role. Like, people must be just not wanting to play the role as often. I will tell you, all of my coaching clients, they queue mid, they queue top or whatever, they get autofilled to jungle the most. And it used to be support. You know, years ago, it used to be support. Now it's like, well, if you play, you know, no one wants to play jungle. And I think the anxiety from jungle, actually, it isn't even because the role is necessarily so, I mean, it's a hard role, don't get me wrong. And it's hard in the decision-making aspect. Maybe not in the laning, you know, there's no laning, so you don't have to farm. But it's the fact that you know your teammates are going to blame you when you suck at it. Right, when you're put in that role and you're not prepared, you know it's coming. It's like it's an inevitability, right? It's an eventuality. Like, you're getting flamed, even if you're good.
100. You know, I can be. I played with a friend basically last year, but I don't really. I've done it once or twice against like master level jungler with the Zyra jungle. That's just more thing I like to play. And I've been up like 3 levels on people, just because. I think, you know, if you know pathing and you understand lane ganks and counter ganks and tracking, you can almost make most things work. The problem comes in the 1v1 and crabs and solo objectives. That's where things kind of fall apart. But you can be at 4 levels. You can have 2 dragons. You can have ganked every lane 3 times. But as soon as the enemy jungler spam ganks 1 lane twice, because you are Zyra jungle, because you're Darius jungle, because any jungle, doesn't really matter, you'll get flamed. End of story. And that's exhausting. It is exhausting.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people bowed out of the role. I think is also it's kind of a community thing too, right? Like, the role has started to become more solved, and people just get momentumed on. I mean, so you play on EUS, like I played on EUS And I was playing like high diamond games at the beginning of the season, playing in jungle just for fun. Just sorry. Yeah, I played, and it was so funny because when you're playing the role and you just get crabbed out. So like I faced like a Nunu or something, and he just rolls up and takes scuttle from me or something because I pathed incorrectly or whatever.
With the snowball.
Yeah, he just goes right through mid to the other crab, and I'm just like, I know what's coming. Like, I know what I'm about to experience in this chat right now, and there's no stopping it, right? Like, I have to get flamed now. Like, there's just no way. And it does get a little tiring when in the back of your mind, it's like, this role is pretty much going to be, and you also know, in higher elo, the role, like, you pretty much can lose games for your team on those scuttles, just by how you chose to path, how you chose to open. Like, you could fuck the whole game up.
It's like from The Expanse, they talk about like one plant system dies, and then another one, they call it the cascade. With jungling, it's all about cascades. One bad decision, and it can be the most innocent decision that you make a mistake on, or a miscalculation. Hey guys, we can fight this bottom crab. We have prio. But because you chose to fight this and ping, and your bottom lane rotates, but they rotate half a second too late. So their mid lane that comes before your bottom lane, and then the whole thing erupts and everyone dies. Maybe you probably shouldn't have called the fight, right? If you understood the lane state, maybe if you were paying attention to the minions and the matchups. But one mistake like that can just have such a horrific issue, which is why I enjoy, and you're saying you can't recommend Mundo. I would start recommending Volley, because you can very easily 6 camp if you need to, if you're pathing opposite to enemy jungle, so there's no like worry about getting that crab in 1v1. But if there is, you can always 5 camp and be on that crab before the enemy jungle even knows what's going on. And if you can win that 1v1, gank mid lane or drive by mid lane and get that second crab, you can second tier sequence. You'll be level 6 by the time the enemy jungle's level 4. So that's a good example of, I picked a champion that's better than yours, therefore you get to be down 2 levels.
Yeah, you just lose from that open. I've been very confused in a lot of these patch notes. I've been very, very lost in where the game's going to be here in the next 6 months, because it definitely feels like not only did we have all these new junglers pop up, right? But we also had this weird like newbie friendly change, but then they backtracked. You saw what they were saying they were going to do about the leash range. Do you remember that?
They haven't I think they were putting like a marker on it, but it's not instituted yet. That's like there's still future work, they said. They haven't put it in the game yet. Yeah, it's like a kiting limitation, right? Like, by the way, this mob's going to 100% reset. I think people are kind of overreacting a little bit, because the term that's very important in that document, and I talked about this in the Scuttle Crab video I made, the Jungle Changes video I made, because I needed to cover it. Accessibility, right? Accessibility doesn't mean necessarily noobifying. It just means the barrier to entry is lowered, not that the skill ceiling is lowered also. The skill ceiling is still there. The fact that there's a kiting range marker, that's not going to make Canyon a better jungler. That's not going to make him get unfair advantages over the enemy jungler in pro player challenge, right? But it's going to help little Jimmy, who's learning the role in silver and bronze and iron and trying to get to grips with it, understand the limitations of his clears. And I think that's, as you said, right? I'm picking Mundo. I'm full clearing by 345. Well, you know what? The enemy jungler's double crabbed. He's already on his second romp, by the time you've gone back to base. Yeah. So if these things can help, and that's very frustrating for a player who just doesn't understand why. It's like a built-in system that just makes it easier for newer players to pick it up. Now, we can debate until the moon actually turns blue if this is quote-unquote good or bad. But again, I don't think it's going to impact people's ability to climb or win in the jungle. That's ultimately the question, right? Does it make bad players get free stuff? No. Yeah. Because to a degree, yeah. But I think it's more like to help people acclimate to the role and to help people that are filled. And we all know what it's like to have a filled jungler. I had one earlier. He tried to do a dragon, level 4. As a D1/master player, auto-filled jungle. And I was like, thanks for the kill and the drake, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I would say, I think I'm evolving a bit. I don't know if you've heard me talk about my belief that the data mining stuff should just not even be in the game.
I mean, like OP.GG scouting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay, cool. So basically, I'm on the fence. On one end, I'm very competitive elite in a way that I really want to see, you know, all the beauty of time that people have spent learning the game and learning the little nuances. I don't like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it because I guess it depends on how it was implemented. Did you test it on PBE? The leash stuff?
Didn't. Did they actually put it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I was asking you. I figured you might have because I haven't had time to look.
All in the patch notes it said was this is future work. I don't think it was put on live. So like, I tend to take much more of a let's not overreact. Let's wait and see. Let's look at the data. Let's, you know, I think there was just way too much overreaction to a lot of the stuff. That's the one I can agree with you that I'm on the fence. Like if it's implemented badly where it gives supreme advantages to bad players, then obviously we can say, you know what, if this guy sucks at clearing, he should work on that. We shouldn't give him tools that kind of in the moment fix it, right? Like, so I think it depends on how it's implemented. That'll be, I think, the biggest thing for in-game advantage.
I want to see it, and it was. I think the overreactions came from everyone started seeing Catchup XP be mentioned, and I know myself, I was like, oh my Jesus Christ, if they put this goddamn Catchup XP shit in this game again, I'm gonna lose my mind.
We were concerned about season 9 levels, but I think they put it in an Vega Reaches also tweeted it does, unless you're legit AFK, I don't see how it's gonna make that much of an issue. I think people should be more concerned about the fact that if you get a 3-level lead on the enemy jungler, we have the same smite amount. That's like, if you're gonna talk about that, like that's something else to talk about.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
At the same time, like imagine a competitive game. And as you said, you're competitive, I'm competitive. We like to make sure that our skill can win out at the end of the day, that the work we put in actually means something.
Yeah.
But what if there's a farming jungler that's a carry? He's the win condition. He's the carry, right? He gets the farm, he gets the kills, he gets the ganks, he gets the crabs, he gets the ward kills. He takes the rebel from the ADC. Like he's the carry condition. Versus say Sejuani. She's not the carry condition. But we're in an organized environment of a 5v5. Why should one jungler, this is the counterpoint by the way, why should one jungler have a higher smite level than another in a 5v5 game because he's the win condition versus someone who's a low econ utility jungler, right? So that's where they're coming from the smite amount, because I saw a lot of people kind of raging like, if I have a lead I deserve it. Yeah, but what if it's a Sejuani? What if someone just that cannot match your econ?
I see. So what do you think of? Like I think of all the changes, because like I said, I think because overreacting, I think it's fair, because I know that when I saw Catchup XP, I was like, go fuck yourself, until I actually saw that it wasn't going to impact that badly. Right?
Hadn't earned your trust.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's literally, that's a good way to frame it. It's like, I was looking at that like, oh my God, I already can visualize Nunu rolling around and doing whatever he wants. Yeah, not farming, doesn't give a shit. Yeah, he doesn't give a damn. And he's still going to win because he's going to get all the XP that he wants anyways. But I do feel like when I saw those smite changes, my gut reaction of all the things that I've seen so far from the list, my gut reaction on those smite changes is just like, that seems dumb.
Yeah.
You know? That one seems like the dumb one of all the shit that they did. It just seems really silly that I could be literally 6 levels ahead of you and it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could still pop in and steal my fucking Baron from me.
And you know what's really irritating about that is if you're playing a Warwick, you know, and I'm going Tiamat tank and I'm like 14 kills, 2 deaths, I'm level 16, you're level 13, but you happen to be a Kha'Zix who has, you know, a nice Q evolve with full damage, who can very easily combo smite greater than I can combo smite, yet you shouldn't be able to. And I think the problem is this, as I said, in solo queue, it's more frustrating. In comp, in flex 5s, in clash, it makes sense. I will critique it. Like, I think Platinum's the worst rank in the game in terms of ignorance mixed with arrogance mixed with ego.
Yeah.
But I would never flame someone for not being X rank. You know, so I try to at least be consistent, you know, in that regard. But for me, this is something like in the game that needs to go away, because if someone reaches like top 0.4%, you know, maybe it isn't that impressive in comparison to a 1000 RP. Of course, we all know there's a huge skill gap between D2 and 1000 RP. Huge.
Of course.
But it's not to be diminished because he isn't, right? Especially if you're below that.
Oh, I've definitely flamed people, but I don't. But the thing is I don't do it in a. But let me frame it. Let me frame it like this. Let me frame it the right way though, because I've had people. Okay. I'll be playing Tryndamere or something, and I'll have people come in and start talking about some other content creator shit while I'm playing Tryndamere. And it's like they want my honest opinion, but then when I give them the honest opinion, they get offended. It's like I had the classic one. It was the Yusuke guy, right? This Yusuke guy, he's had some pretty good results. I think he's got all the way to Challenger this year. I don't know if he's maintained it or not, but he's got all the way to Challenger doing his little weird, it's like a phase rush Tryndamere thing or whatever. And people ask me about him for like a year or so. And obviously if I'm playing Tryndamere, it's like the equivalent would be, and this is why I said it's nothing personal to the guy because I don't like him, dislike him, anything. I don't give a fuck, to be honest. I really don't. He's not even, to me, it doesn't really matter to me. But the problem is, it's like, imagine going to the mechanic, okay? And I'm running the business. I'm the mechanic and I'm fixing cars. And then as I'm fixing somebody's cars, some guy's like, hey, you know, Steve, he fixed a really good car. Do you think he fixes the car better than you, Mark? And then I'm just sitting there going, fuck Steve. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Steve. I don't know if he fixes cars or not. I don't know. He might be the best damn car fixing person ever, but this is NEACE's auto body, right? Not Steve's auto body. So I want to be very clear. And, you know, personally, I don't really give a shit either way if the guy is good at Tryndamere, whatever. Someone asked my opinion, and so I told him, I was like, I don't really understand the build. I don't know why you would do that. And I don't, you know, I saw at the time when they asked, it was like he had like 51% win rate. He was playing in like, you know, he was playing like low grandmaster, maybe master at the time. And I was like, he's playing a lot of Tryndamere and the results don't look that great. Like he's doing pretty well. That's cool. It's off meta, but I don't like it. Right. And then people just fucking got so mad at me. So it's like a part of me understands what you're saying, but then there's another part of me. Yeah. Well, it's another part of it where it's like, when you're running a business, if you start, like if your whole day, because for those like couple months, it was just me playing Tryndamere mid at the time or whatever it was. So it's like, if that's my whole day, I'm gonna be annoyed if you're trying to talk about another content creator. But at the other side of the coin is like, I don't really go out of my way necessarily to shit on people unless they're just not trying or they're just being scummy, like just being annoying.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, like, but I agree with you. I think overall, like, and like I said, I have no problem with that particular guy or any content creators. I really don't give a shit. I don't care at all.
You gotta separate the person from the opinion sometimes, or from the champion.
Yeah,
like,
and that's another thing. That's great what you just said, because like I saw that guy in particular is like, it seems like he's probably a nice dude. I don't know. And that's the thing, is it's not a knock on him as a person. I just don't agree with what he was doing with the game. And I don't think people can necessarily, and maybe it's just because that, you know, if you play fucking 1,200 games of Tryndamere or whatever the hell he did, I don't think people can separate themselves from that criticism very easily sometimes. It's like, I wish him all the best. I hope he figures it out. Personally, and this is what I told his people. I was like, dude, if he went Fleet and just went fucking Flash Ghost, he'd be crushing it. Why the fuck is he doing this weird phase rush shit, right? Like, that was my...
He'd be even higher ranked. Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah. He's taking a slow car and he's winning races, or coming second, or he's coming second and third. If you just put him in a fast car, he's gonna win every race.
I just didn't understand. They were like, get mad at me. It's like, dude, I don't care. I think it's stupid. What do you want me to say? You want me to lie to you? You want me to tell you that I think it's great? No, I think it sucks. Do the right thing. Did you ask my opinion, or do you want me to just be your friend?
Yeah, exactly. But therein is the same kind of thing, right? You every day, all day, content, Tryndamere. Like, this is what you're around. You've played a lot, you studied, you know it, you understand it. So you've earned that expertise, right? Mm-hmm. This is your expertise. And I think we're in this weird phase where people's opinions trump expertise, and it's so irritating.
Oh, now you're getting into politics, dude. Be careful.
No. I'm not talking about politics.
Be careful, buddy.
with anything.
No, I'm
because
with you.
Science teacher, astrophysicist, right? Someone comes to me with science. I'm like, well, this is the data. And they're like, well, my opinion. I'm like, I don't care about your opinion. Data doesn't have an opinion. It just is. But it's the same kind of thing. Like, you have this expertise, you've rounded up, you have the right to have that. You have the right to have that opinion, and for it to be valued in terms of community perception and when they're asking for it. There just seems a lot of non-deserved opinions getting a bit more entitled.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a hard line to walk. This is a funny discussion though, because I always talk about this from time to time. I feel like with video games, so you've been on Reddit before. Reddit's an interesting place for video games.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Nice hive mind sometimes.
Oh yeah. So what I was gonna say is that, like, when it comes to Reddit, if you notice, if you go on like the League of Legends subreddit and talk about League, you ever notice that if anyone ever dares suggest that they have like high rank over there, it's like an immediate, it's actually the opposite of what you would expect from that community. And I've noticed it time and time again with Reddit and gaming, is that if you start having a discussion about competitive viability or whether something's good or bad, if you so much as say like, hey, I'm high rank, like this doesn't work that way or whatever, like someone immediately just goes on the defensive and they take it personally.
Yeah.
And they don't go, oh yeah, okay, you're high rank, my bad, like I don't know. Like they don't do that in the game. It's the opposite. Even though if you had like, and I'm not saying that a doctor is the same as a League player or anything like that. It's like you said, it was just the results. That's all. It's just, us try-hard gamers, we don't have much else in life. That's what you guys have to understand. We don't have much else. So like if you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, exactly. If we have channels with hundreds and hundreds of videos on jungle pathing and decision making, for years studying and observing the tendencies and what's good and what's bad, and you ask my opinion and I give it to you based on all of that, the groundwork that I've had, the experience that I've had, and then you just go, I don't think so. But you are just, who are you even? Like, it's not, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean it in terms of, if I speak to someone, if I was to speak to you, like come to you, someone who's new to League, right? I'm not going to debate you on Tryndamere.
Yeah.
Like, if I have played 5 games of Tryndamere, I'm not going to come to you and say, listen, I think phase rush is the best way to play it. I'm sorry. It's just what I think, and you have to respect it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. Yeah, it's a tough sell. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of tough because I don't want to bash on it. I don't want to bash on that guy and anything like that because it's cool. I mean, because we were just talking about it. Like, you do want to try new things.
Yeah, exactly. He makes it work. Hey,
yeah.
Look, I'll throw something in the ring here to sort of close it up. I was running Zyra Jungle, Runic Echoes, Nash's Tooth. It's terrible. It's objectively terrible. But I could actually hit towers pretty nicely. Could do solo objectives. In clutch situations where there's like a Talon and a Zed, and my spells are kind of difficult to hit because Zyra is a 2012 champion with an E-travel time that's, like a lawnmower in comparison to these supercars. Hey, I can auto attack with some DPS. And I get bonus CDR. At the time, we got a lot of CDR, right? On Nash's Tooth. So CDR is really good for having uptime on the Q as well as the E. It's objectively bad, but I kind of like to play it for a while. Just as a creative outlet. It's because I know the champion so well and have thousands and thousands of games on it, I could make it work. But if I just built, Runic, Leandries, and Rylas at the time, because it was previous seasons, probably better results. But, if he has knowledge of Tryndamere where he can make it work, that's great. But there might be most likely is a more optimal way to play it. But it's not a critique on him whatsoever. I think it's cool. I think it's cool if anybody finds a way to play the game the way they enjoy it. And I think that if you can make it work to that degree where you are playing like high elo, that's cool. Yeah, you challenge your cusp, yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Don't even trip on my opinion. And that's what I try to say. It's like you just came into a guy's stream when the guy was playing the champion and he just doesn't want to hear about this other content creator. All right, Virkayu, thank you so much. I'll be linking all your channels on the cast as promised. And yeah, seriously, everybody check him out. He's got really good content. I've literally been just running your content in the background during this stream, so it's just been a big ad. So I hope it gives you some new viewers and followers. It's well deserved. All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Your day and whatnot.
Peace, brother. Be safe.
All right.